Most people think they're free. Free to choose, free to love, free to live however they want. But what if that sense of freedom is the most elegant trap ever created? What if everything you believe about your choices, your desires, your dreams, your identity, was actually shaped long before you ever had the chance to question them? Carl Jung believed that you cannot be free until you confront the parts of yourself you buried. Not just the sad parts. The dangerous parts. The angry, jealous, manipulative, proud, selfish parts. The ones you were told never to show, never to feel. Those parts didn't die. They went underground. And now, they rule your life from the shadows. You might think, "No, I'm a good person. I don't have those thoughts." But here's where Jung shocked the world. The more you deny those parts of yourself, the more power they have over you. The shadow doesn't disappear when ignored. It disguises itself. In your perfectionism. In your passive aggression. In your compulsive need to help others. In your fear of conflict. In your quiet resentment. We call these traits nice. But they're masks. You see, every time you pretend to be only good, you create an inner division. You split your psyche into the person you show the world, and the one you secretly are. That split becomes suffering. And here's the worst part. You think that suffering is proof that you're broken, that something is wrong with you. But what if that pain is just a signal? A signal that you're not living as a whole person. That there's a side of you screaming to be seen. Not to hurt anyone, but to be integrated, to make you whole. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." So maybe the question isn't, how do I become free? Maybe it's, what part of me is holding the key, and why have I locked it away? Have you ever felt exhausted just from being around people? Not because they said anything cruel, not because they did anything wrong, but simply because you couldn't be yourself? Carl Jung had a name for this: the persona, the mask you wear to survive. The moment we enter society, we begin to shape this mask. It's how we get approval, how we avoid judgment, how we're seen as normal. But here's the catch. The longer you wear the mask, the more you forget it's not your face. You start confusing acceptance with love. You start believing that performing makes you worthy. That being agreeable, polite, helpful, quiet, competent, that's what makes you a good person. But underneath, there's rage. There's sadness. There's confusion. And most dangerously, there's emptiness. You become so good at being what others want that you no longer know what you want. You look at your own reflection and feel like a stranger. And the tragedy? People praise you for it. You're so nice. You're so mature. You're always so calm. But no one sees how hard it is to hold that image together. No one sees the anxiety, the guilt, the shame, the loneliness. No one asks if you even like this version of yourself. Jung warned, the persona isn't evil, but it is dangerous when you believe it's all you are. It protects you, yes, but it also blocks intimacy. Because true connection doesn't happen when people like your mask. It happens when someone sees behind it and stays. But that only happens when you let them. So ask yourself, who would you be if no one was watching? And what part of you have you silenced just to belong? What if I told you that your worst traits are not your enemies? That the parts of you you're most ashamed of, your jealousy, your laziness, your anger, your arrogance, are not there to destroy you, but to wake you up. Carl Jung called this the shadow, everything you reject, deny, or fear about yourself. You see, society trains you to split yourself. It says, this part is acceptable. That part is shameful. So you start hiding, suppressing, pretending. You want to be loved, so you lock away your rage. You want to be accepted, so you bury your selfishness. You want to be seen as good, so you disown your ambition, your sexuality, your wildness. But Jung warned, what you repress doesn't disappear. It grows in the dark, and then it leaks out. In passive aggression, in depression, in random outbursts you don't understand. It sabotages your relationships. It distorts your identity. It drains your energy just to be good. But here's the twist. Your shadow holds your power. Inside your jealousy is your desire to fight for what matters. Inside your laziness is a cry for rest, balance, or deeper purpose. Inside your rage is your boundary, your dignity, your buried voice. The shadow isn't your enemy. It's your wounded protector. Integrating it doesn't mean becoming cruel. It means becoming whole. So the question is, what part of you have you labeled bad just because someone else couldn't handle it? And what would happen if you stopped fighting that part and started listening to it? Everyone wants freedom. But ask yourself, what do you think freedom looks like? Most people imagine no responsibilities, no pain, no rules, just peace, pleasure, and endless choices. But that's not freedom. That's fantasy. Carl Jung had a shocking definition. Freedom begins the moment you confront the part of yourself you fear most. It doesn't start when you escape work, or family, or the world. It starts when you stop running from you. You see, the real prison isn't outside. It's the inner war you've waged for years. The part of you that wants to be strong versus the part afraid of failure. The part that longs for connection versus the part that fears rejection. The part that dreams big versus the voice that whispers, "Who do you think you are?" As long as these parts are in conflict, you will never feel free. You will always chase something. Always feel behind. Always fear being found out. But once you integrate them, once you stop dividing yourself, you become dangerous. Not in a violent way, but in a way that radiates certainty, that no longer seeks approval, that doesn't need to explain or apologize for existing. This is what Jung called individuation. The process of becoming a whole person, not a perfect one. It's not about being happy all the time. It's about being real, conscious, and fully alive. So maybe the real question isn't, how do I become free? Maybe the question is, what part of myself have I been afraid to meet?